Okay, we're back for workout number 2 in Freaky Big Mastery. And today we're going to do a little bit different routine. We're going to use legs and arms. It's going to be the second part of the sequence. But this is a more advanced routine. So as you progress through this, unlike what we did with the workout sequence yesterday, this one is going to be a different workout sequence, more sets, more reps in a different format. So we'll get into it a little bit later. I've already copied down the workout here. As I always do before the workout, I write down everything that I'm going to do, how many sets, how it's going to set up, and how I look at it, just kind of get into the mindset of what it's going to do. The other thing, before we get started, once again, we're always popping a bunch of mass signs to get the growth happening before the workout starts. It's amazing how much energy you'll release just by having these in your body, so I always pop down at least 10. They're real good. So while I'm swallowing back these babies, let's get set, head out to the gym and move some serious iron. Alright, so now we're going to get started hitting the legs first. We're going to do an exercise that's not too common they see in the gym, and it's front squats. So we're really going to target the legs a little bit more with squatting. Traditional squatting often works the hips and the glutes, and I like to really target the quads, you know, and so this routine, in the advanced stage, I highly recommend doing front squats, particularly if you have a good shoulder base in order to support it. Beginners, this one's a little bit tough, so you'll want to refer to the Elite Exercise Performance Manual to get the actual technicality of it. But I'm going to demonstrate right here. So you just pop up, step back here. Now, if you'll notice, I got some plates under the heels. Okay, that's to transfer the weight right onto the quadriceps, and I'm flexed at the bottom. And now I'm going to start the whole sequence. So you drop straight down and blast up and flex at the top. You notice the flex at the top, that's very important. As soon as we rack, part of the routine that I like to move quickly between 2 sets. So now I'm going to get the hamstrings. So right over to leg curls. And then right into them. Very little rest.
Notice Wade's ankles are 90 degrees. If you point your toes up, sometimes you work your calves too much. So by having your feet 90 degrees, you really hit the hamstrings.
That's just it. Of course, now in that first set, since we were doing it for demonstration purposes, it was pretty fast. As your sets build up and you get more into oxygen debt, obviously the pace is going to slow down a little bit. So now we're going to bump the weight up. Now, depending on what week you're in the training with, will determine how many sets that you'll actually be doing. So today we're going to do one of the easier routines, which only involves just 3 sets per body. But it's all about this weekend sequencing, so we might actually, later in the sequence in the program, go up to as many as 5 sets per body part. Of course, inside the book, we show you exactly how to do this kind of cycling. So, deep breaths. We got our weight back set up. Back onto the rack again. You know, keeping that pace. Okay. And up. Heels up. And let's hit it again.
You know, personally, I used to do a lot of normal squats, and frankly, my ass got huge. And that wasn't necessarily the best thing. When you showed me how to do front squats, that totally changed my leg development, and I was finally able to train my quads without my ass getting out of control.
Absolutely.
As funny as that sounds, you know.
There's so many guys that are lifting with their glutes. See all these people doing partial squats, half squats. If you're not going all the way to the basement, you're missing out on a big part of leg development.
Huge.
You'd never do a bicep curl only to here. You'd go full extension. Same thing with the quads. You want to be down here, right? And that's going to require, most of you are going to have to get some stretching on the calves. Because if your calves are tight, you're not going to be able to get all the way down. So when you start out, use the plates, get your feet up, that way you can get all the way down and activate the quads.
And actually what I like to do with really beginner clients is just get them to the bottom of the squat position and tell them to hold that for like 30 seconds. That's a huge stretch for them.
Absolutely.
You don't even need to start squatting.
Absolutely. So let's hit it again.
So how do you feel like hitting an isolation exercise like this after doing the squats?
Well, I really like it. Now, it's not always the best option for people when they're first starting out. Because I've been at this for quite a while, it's important to know that this is one of my advanced sequences. So in other words, I'm bombing and blitzing from a lot of different areas. I'm working at a faster pace and keeping my oxygen capacity going, so there's a lot of factors involved. We illustrated clearly in the book of when to turn it up, when to go to an isolation, when to do a compound movement. In other words, we take all the mystery out of it. You know, it was 10 years for me to finally get the kind of coaching that I needed. You know, I mentioned this yesterday, but I can't emphasize this enough. It took me 16 years to get to the World Championships, right? Even with the best coaching, it took me an extra 2 more years after 10 years of training. So that's the difference. 10 years to get to 1.2 levels, to 2 years to go to the world class with coaching. So what I did in 15 or 16 years with the mastery course, it's easy to do in 5. That's what it's all about. Let's compress the time.
Especially with Masszymes and protein.
Absolutely. We don't even know what could happen with those 2 products because this has changed the absorbability of your protein, right? So now you're not degenerating from low enzyme levels. You're actually getting a protein. You're eating live foods. You know, the sky's the limit. I suspect, we're going to really transform what's possible for natural bodybuilding.
I think we have, because I know when I did this workout with the Masszymes, I had to stop doing this training because it was growing too much for the first time ever.
Yeah, some guys with really good genetics to growth, I mean, it's pretty crazy what can happen.
Yeah, it was strange, you know.
It's all about intensity of effort and consistency. All about consistency.
Notice how Wade's going all the way down. Notice how he's keeping his back almost straight. That's what takes the hips out of it. It's very powerful. He's resting the weight bar. Running. Go 1 second, just exactly where you put the bar.
What's that? I bring it right here across the chest. So I cross the hands. I set the bar right on the shoulder. So as you can see, I keep my elbows up so I can kind of lean back and I maintain an arch in my back. That way I'm locked and solid. It's all legs. So the back's not going this. So at first, when you first start this, it's going to be a little uncomfortable on the shoulders for about a month until you get used to it. And after that, it gets some people like to wrap a towel around the front of the bar to cushion it. If you're a little bony here. Myself, fortunately, I got used to it. And as you build up your chest mass, it gets easier and easier. You can kind of it's like a little shelf that it sits right on. And you get into the groove. But give yourself a month to get used to that sequence. And again, refer to the Elite Exercise Performance books and audios to keep drilling it into your head over and over and over again until it becomes automatic. All right, let's finish up with the hamstrings. As you can see, because we're moving very fast, the oxygen jet's really building up. Already we're only a few exercises into the workout sequence. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go set up the other set of exercises, get ready, and we'll be right back.